Hello, you're tuning into Reviewing History, your comedy history podcast. I'm filmmaker and teacher Brian Rupert, joined here by
Aunt G, yo.
And Stephen Bagliacco. As always, I almost forgot it.
For the first time, the people have seen our faces if they're on the YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
For the first time, the YouTube is not just still images.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
It's a
People have
brave new
spoken.
world.
They've spoken. They want to see us.
Did they?
No.
No one asked for
No,
this.
not a single soul.
But they're getting it.
You got it, whether you want it or not.
I don't want this. This is a bad idea.
Really?
Yeah, I think we're going to turn off everybody now.
They're going to see us.
tuning out as we speak.
Matt's
They're
vomiting.
Violently.
We're not something anybody wants to look at.
No?
Wow, you're
Well, Steve's delectable.
Steve's fucking beautiful.
you're so confident. You ooze confidence. You know
Dude,
that?
I'm not at all.
He's just Italian. He's just greasy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not ooze. It's not confidence ooze.
Oh, it's not. It's oil.
Sweat.
It's
No
oil
oil.
from just.
It's man.
meat. From meat.
It's made from wood and coal for grilling.
You look
Make a
like
nice
you can,
mesquite.
you could work in a coal mine.
Yeah. I've been known to cover myself in soot and speak like a Cockney man.
I thought that was going in a different direction, and
Yeah.
thank God you didn't go there.
I was expecting
How
way
rude.
darker.
How rude. That's a pun.
So we're coming off the heels of Christmas. We're getting ready for the
Yeah.
New Year's.
Well, why don't we? I think we need to reintroduce ourselves to the audience because I assume there's a new
That's
audience.
the intro.
That's
Yeah, well, but like, what is the show? What are they looking at? They don't know what the show is. You're talking like, oh, everybody knows this. No, this is a new thing.
We've had a
We're new
YouTube for
guys.
quite some time.
But nobody's seen it. The views are like 12.
Hey, one of them hit 50.
Yeah. So they heard.
This is
some of
reviewing
it.
history, camera, wherever you are.
That one is
Everyone
on
is
you.
pointed at me.
This
This
is
one's
ours.
pointed
Yeah,
at me?
yeah, that's-
Yeah.
Okay, we are reviewing history. We are a show, and we talk about movies and historical facts.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
And
we keep it light.
and some would say we crack jokes along the way.
Crack jokes.
crack
Brian likes
a
to say
couple of
crack
jokes. We're a comedy history podcast, but now we're a video cast.
Ugh,
Is that a word?
I hate
Is that a term?
But we're coming off the heels of a celebration. We had the Aunt G nuptials.
Yes, my second wedding.
Your second
My
wedding.
second wedding, because I've been married for a year.
Only one wife though.
Yeah, same wife, second wedding. Two weddings. That's the type of guy
I
I
have to
am.
rephrase that.
One wasn't enough.
Now this one, the other one was in the eyes of the state. This
Yes.
is in the eyes of the Lord.
Yes, which is mightier. Some may differ on opinions on that.
Yeah.
Yes, this was in the church.
How was that?
I enjoyed it very much.
You had fun?
Yes. You were kind
You were
enough to
there.
help out.
Yeah, I filmed a little bit of the ceremony
Yes,
and
it was
the
very
first
nice of you, Brian.
dances.
Brian offered to film my wedding,
Yeah.
and I said no. And then he insisted, and he forced me to say yes.
Did
And
you
then-
use the same cameras?
Well, yes, he did. One thing I would like to point out is that I hired a photographer for the wedding.
Yeah.
That was not Brian. And they had some comments.
They hated me?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
They were confused. They were like, who is this guy? Because Brian set up cameras all over the place. And they were like, well, I thought we were doing this. And they apologized. And I don't know if you're aware of what you did. They apologized to my wife's sister for they wanted to let us know that the camera that was placed in the middle of the aisle, blocking all of their photos and forcing us to walk around as we went down the aisle, was not placed by them. It was in fact placed by you.
That was on the way back, though, I believe.
Yes.
That was on the way out of the church. So, in my defense, I was not really given a rundown on what was going to happen.
It's a wedding. People walk down the aisle, Brian.
I didn't know at what point, so I really tried to do my best.
It literally walk down the aisle is a common phrase.
We had to step around a tripod.
I'm sorry, my free work wasn't good enough for you guys.
Every wedding photo.
I appreciate it completely. I really
little
do.
camera.
All jokes aside, Brian did a wonderful job. But,
Well, you don't know that yet.
Well, no, I haven't seen any of the work, but I'm sure he did a great job. Brian knows what he's doing. He's a competent man.
Cut to the next episode. You son of a bitch.
But it was funny. And we had a big laugh about it.
Yeah, it was a
good.
good time. And if you saw the Instagram, that photo is actually from your wedding, where we're traveling through
Oh,
time.
yes. Yeah. We revealed ourselves on the Instagram about a month ago.
Yeah.
From what we said. It's actually like 2 days.
Yeah.
For us.
Yeah. So here we are. New show, new year.
Well, before we dive into the meat of the show, there's one other thing I'd like to address.
Oh, please.
I had a bit of an incident at your wedding.
You did?
Yes.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Brian came up to me and he was angry. And I was a little tipsy. It's my wedding, I'm allowed.
Yeah.
And go ahead. It's your story.
So there's a photo booth at your wedding in
Yes.
like the back corner of the room.
Yes, Partners in Sound.
They did a good
Staten
job.
Island
They did a good
State.
job.
Staten Island's own.
They did good.
So me and my wife walk over. She wants to take a picture in the photo booth. You know, anytime we're at a wedding or one of these events, you got to get a picture in the photo
Wacky
booth.
photo.
Just has to
Oh,
happen.
there's so many now.
So
For anybody who doesn't know, it's like they put up a curtain and people put on wacky hats.
Yeah.
And they go like, "Oh."
Signs and stuff like that.
yeah, just silly, goofy fun. I'm sure people know
Oh, yeah.
what it is.
I get to do visual things. I can do this.
yeah, exactly. You can,
Now they're going to know why we're always like, what the fuck are you doing?
You know, I thought of that. Anybody who listens to the show might know that
I notice your
often-
hands are down.
I
now.
often get, dude,
like,
this is weird. I am not used to being on camera. I don't like it at all. And I know I look terrible. So, like, I'm just, but I'll get used to it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But Brian always calls me out when I fucking am doing weird things with my arms that I have no control over. So that's going to be
you
visual.
do have
now.
control over them.
So you say.
that's what you think. He's Italian. We have no control over this.
Yeah.
I've knocked over so many glasses just talking. Like, just naturally.
Anyway, so I'm online with my wife to go to the photo booth, and this guy comes over to us, to me and my wife, and he goes, "You're ready to use the
A guest.
A random man. I don't know who he is, and he says, "You're going to use the photo booth," and we're like, "Yeah." He said, "I own the photo booth. It's my company,"
Oh, so he's
and I'm like,
one of
"Oh,
the guys.
cool.
He's a partner in sound.
I'm like, "Cool. Nice to meet you." And he goes, "Nah, I'm kidding with you." I go, "Oh, you got me." Like,
This is weird. Okay.
like,
Quality comedy.
I don't know what, okay.
Was that aggressive? Was he aggressive?
It was like, "I got you."
It was comedy
You know?
in the wild.
It was like if someone said, "What's that on your shirt?" and then they flicked up your nose.
They gave you a Hertz donut.
Basically. But I don't see how I'm an asshole here to start, because if someone comes over to you and says, "This is my company at a wedding,"
why would you think they're lying?
yeah, it's like, okay, like, what do you gain?
Yeah.
So then he does another innocuous lie, and I'm like, I believe him. And he goes,
He
"Nah,"
tricked you again.
with something equally similar.
Is this Loki?
yeah.
Did you meet the trickster?
So he is a bit of a trickster. So now me and my wife are a little staggered. And
This is while you're taking a photo.
this is right before, like, we're online.
Okay.
So my wife is a little in front of me. I'm a little in back. And the drunk guy is next to me.
Oh, he's drunk.
He's a little inebriated, I think. And he's...
You're not a drinker.
I don't drink.
Right. Neither does your wife.
No.
So you got some
She's also
stone-
pregnant. She can't.
This is true. Some stone sober people
Yeah.
getting harassed.
And he... And, I'm humoring him.
Did
like,
he get in your photo?
no.
No, that would have been great, though.
If I did, I'd show you him.
Yeah.
So we're there, and then he says to me, "I'm gonna grab that girl's breast," and he points at my wife.
Oh,
Now,
that's inappropriate.
Slightly.
I'm in a weird situation because
Perhaps more than that.
I figure the best course of action in this scenario is to just ignore it and let it go.
But that's
Okay.
not you.
This is not what I wanted to do.
Well, he came over to me and he was like, some guy said some fucked up shit about my wife. And I'm like, who? And he's like, I don't know. But he looked like a short guy with a bald head. So now I'm walking around trying to figure out what's going
yeah,
on.
I didn't
Then
want,
why'd you say it?
because everyone, like, 'cause I had told other people, I didn't want you to know, and like,
Didn't want you to be the last to find
Right.
out that he might have fucked someone up at your wedding.
So then this part, my wife doesn't hear that, right? And
Thank
I
goodness.
ignore it, and he goes away, and we do our picture.
You didn't say anything to that. You were just silent.
I just like I had a pissed off look on my face.
You didn't want to cause a scene.
Because here's my like the way I view things.
Gut reaction has to be, I want to punch this guy.
Yeah.
I want to immediately challenge him to an altercation.
A duel.
And it's like
If you had pistols, you'd be pulling an Andrew Jackson.
There's no like, to me, it's like there's no 0 to 60 like
Your girlfriend DX.
Going slow. It's we're going like if I start this, it's a fight automatically. Like there's no other option.
There's no way out.
Exactly.
I
It's
feel
like
you could have just been like, "This is my wife," and he might have just been
Yeah,
like,
if you
"Oh, my
said
bad."
that's my wife, he would have backed down.
he probably would have backed down. Yeah.
see, once I say something, the path towards a fight has been
set in
started.
stone.
Because I have to be ready at that point for him to say something like, I don't give a fuck, what are you going to do?
Well, now you gotta fight.
And now
Yeah,
I
now
have
you
to
fight,
fight.
right,
yeah.
Which is why I chose not to go down the path.
So you just ignored him.
I just ignored him and put a
then
mean
and
mug.
then steamed.
And he walked away. We take our picture, it's fine. I'm like, I'll tell Ann about this later.
Yeah.
So then we're sitting down, me and my wife, and
I didn't realize it was more.
yeah, and I'm sitting on my phone, and I'm texting, and he comes over behind. Now, I didn't see this. My wife told me after that the guy came back, and he started talking to my wife.
Really?
Words
And-
were exchanged.
Yeah, and
What did he say?
At this point, I forget what they said, but it was him like flirting
He
with
was
her
hitting
more.
on your wife.
Yeah. And my
That's-
back was turned and I didn't know this. And she told me right away.
That's
And
not
I'm
good.
like, that's 2.
He was aware you were together, right?
We're next to each other. We're in a photo booth,
Yeah.
you know? And now I'm like, okay.
I wish I knew who this was.
I'm like, the next time,
It was your wedding. You figure you would.
Dude, you've been to weddings. There's 100
I
people.
know.
You don't know who
I
they
know.
are.
I'm like, if it happens again, I'm like forced now to like, I have to, if it happened again,
Honor demands.
if it happened again,
Yeah.
I was going to come to you and be like, dude, I have to fight this guy.
Is
Right.
this when you came up to me?
Well, that's when I was already seething.
Right.
And like,
Yeah, well, when I ran into him and he said it to me, I was like, Brian is very upset right now. This is weird.
But do you remember what you said to me? Because I also was slightly happy, if you can't tell from the pictures on Instagram. I remember vaguely you pulled me to the side, and this was like outside the venue. It was like the doors to the venue, and I wanted to go to the bathroom, and you're like, "Come here for a second." I'm like, "Yeah, what's up?" He's like, "I got a serious question to ask you," and I'm thinking it's gonna be a joke. And he's like, "Would Ant get mad if I started a fight at his wedding?" And I was like, "To be honest, Brian, I'm gonna say yes."
all right.
That's an interesting question. Now,
But knowing
if
the
I
facts-
knew the facts,
No, I know-
Brian has to.
I know you'd be mad immediately,
Of course. Yeah.
but if
Oh, it's a forgivable offense.
in the so if we're
If you go out in the hallway, I don't even care.
so if we're in the hall and he says that to my wife, and I immediately escalate, I'm like, "What the fuck you say?"
Inside the ballroom or what?
Inside the ballroom.
Okay.
And he says that about my wife, and I turn to him and I'm like,
Step outside.
I'm like, "What the fuck did you say?" And I'm like, and me and him,
Go out.
we go out and fight. You're fine with it.
Yeah, I got no problem at all.
In the ballroom, we get into an altercation.
In the war room, 10 of us are kicking this guy.
that would be a bad scene.
He might have joined
He's
in.
got to have
in the
friends, right?
kicking, yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
Not as much as us.
It's gonna be a gang
There was
war.
like 20 of us there.
There's going to be sharks and jets.
20 of us
Do you
there.
think Partners in Sound
violent.
would have the good, like,
Good sense to put on that song.
Yeah.
I would hope so.
Or Let's Get
They are
Ready to
DJ.
Rumble.
They're the partners in sound. They're wonderful people.
And play jock jams.
Eye of the Tiger.
But
So this all ended just because you didn't do anything,
I chose not to do anything.
and it's been bothering you.
It bothered me for a little bit, but ultimately,
I want to know what he said to your wife.
I can't remember what he said the second time.
Was it rude, or was it just like he was flirting?
It was flirting. It wasn't a
like I
rude.
want to suck your fucking tits.
No, it wasn't a rude comment.
Okay. Thank goodness.
Not the second time.
He wasn't saying something like, you got a nice fucking ass.
Why is he so aggressive in your...
Well, he's drunk. I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. He wasn't saying something like, hey, that guy you're with, he's a real piece of shit.
That one I'd be okay with.
He's
'cause
worthless.
He's right.
I don't like
You'd
him.
agree?
He's right. I'd be like, you're right. I see.
I'm just
Call him
sitting there
crazy, but
sad.
he's got a point.
He wasn't saying something like, you know, all that film work he does, it's not good. stinks, and he
you
isn't
see how
funny.
we place those cameras?
Now
in
it's
church?
getting mean.
Well, I'm glad everything turned out for the best.
Yeah, I thought I tried to act in your best interest.
I appreciate that.
And not ruin your wedding.
Thank you.
By getting in a fight.
But you didn't act in the best interest of
Well,
the
he
story.
ruined
the
the
story
wedding by putting a fucking tripod in the middle of my bride's aisle.
The story of you fighting would have been better.
It would have been a great story.
Yeah.
Would have been one for the ages, one for the record.
Because 6 people would have joined in and just stomped this guy out.
Oh, did you guys enjoy the party?
I had fun.
Wonderful. It was wonderful.
Glad to hear it.
It was a really good
It was
time.
fun.
I was dead
It's
by
nice
the end
hanging
of the
out with
night,
all
but-
our friends.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. And we have our little table with just me
Yeah.
and my wife. And I feel like I missed out on probably some good conversation at the cool table.
Nah, not as much as you think.
No?
No.
All right, good.
I had a good time.
But believe it or not, we talk about history on this show.
We do eventually. We
Yeah.
get there.
It was a
On
little
the,
piece.
The pick episodes, we like to free flow a bit more.
Yes.
Yeah, but that was a little piece of history right there about.
Yeah, it's personal
our
history.
friend, Yeah. Do you want to get started?
The main premise of the show, if anybody doesn't know, is we talk about historical movies and analyze them. Today, we will not be doing that.
Today we call it a pick episode,
Yes.
where we each bring a random historical fact or person or whatever to the table, discuss it, and then at the end of the show, we will pick the next 3 movies we will watch and dissect.
Yep.
So we each brought something to the table, and me and Steve had a good idea that because it's January, it would be fun to make everything cold themed.
Right.
So we tried
winter.
we tried to make things cold themed for this episode.
This slew of stories.
Yeah, so all the picks today kind of have a theme. It doesn't happen all the time, but this time it does, and they're all cold
Things.
cold things.
This was a weird one. Because
Yeah.
Brian texted me, he said, pick something cold. And I wasn't exactly sure what that means. Did it mean emotionally? Is it like a John Frost poem?
Yeah. Wow. We didn't think that we would go down that path. that could have backfired. No, we
Who's
did a
going
joke
first today.
We did a
Oh,
joke,
what's the
and it was
joke?
just like.
Well,
Tell us a joke, funny man.
we have
it
to
was
wait
just a
for the
thing.
payoff.
Yeah, it was just a thing.
Oh,
and you're
okay.
gonna find it out later.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a tease. That's
So-
a tease, ladies and gentlemen.
So, and you could
I
start
go
us off.
first?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, I was told to pick something cold, and I decided to talk about the battle on the ice. Are you guys familiar with this?
No, I know the Miracle on Ice. We did an episode on that
did.
with ESPN's Greg Wyshynski.
That's right.
Oh, like
From
that.
the
Check out
drop.
the back catalog,
Nice little
guys.
name drop.
No, Battle on the Ice. This is kind of, I guess you call it the birth of modern Russia.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's cold there, if anybody
Okay.
doesn't know. This is the 13th century.
Okay. Who's the Tsar?
There is no Tsar yet. This is before the Tsar.
What was there before the Tsar?
So you've heard of the Kievan Rus, I'm sure.
Yes, I have.
So the Kievan Rus were a people, they were like Vikings, and they founded the city of Novgorod and various other cities in the Ukraine region. And for a long time, they had a thriving civilization there until Genghis Khan and the Mongols came stampeding through the area.
They did that to a lot of people.
They did.
Yeah.
And one by one, the Rus cities fell to the Mongol hordes. This did not happen in Novgorod. The reason being is because the Mongols were very lenient. If cities decided before they had to sack them, they would surrender. So the people of Novgorod are the one Rus city that said, we give up.
We're not
before
even fighting.
Before the fight even happened. So they were allowed to keep their republic and pay tribute to the Khan for...
Join or die.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's so
Going
much of a
forward.
better option for like all those people.
Yeah. So they saw what had happened in Moscow and places like that, and they were like, "No, we're not going to do this. It's over."
Are they cowards?
Some might say that, but it preserved the civilization because if it didn't happen, you can look at a place like Baghdad, which was probably the greatest city on earth at the time.
Baghdad?
Yeah, the Mongols burnt to ground, killed everybody there, and some people say that Islamic civilization has not recovered from that, from where
Really?
they were.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because they were
to this
just
day.
spread
It was
out
like
to
the Mongols were so devastating that it was like we're not even at the level we were at.
And
as far as
what
influence.
actually like made them that devastating? Was it just like sheer numbers or just
it's
tactics?
numbers, it's tactics. The horse
Just
archer
everything?
is so brutal and
Yeah.
so good, and
take down everything.
nothing could stand against them
Damn.
until they kind of rotted away from within, like most dynasties do.
When you get too big, yeah.
You're not a fan of Kubla?
Kubla's good, but he's in China and he's not born yet. This is before that.
Kubla Khan also at one point possessed Spunky and Rocco.
That's right.
In Rocco's
Yes, he
Modern
did.
Life.
So Novgorod is a republic, and it's got like a city council, and what they do is they elect a prince,
Okay.
and he becomes the ruler.
Does he do the bat dance?
The bat dance? I'm not familiar with the bat dance.
You don't know the bat dance?
No, tell me about the bat dance.
So you know 80s Batman, right?
80s Batman, like
1980s.
like
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton. Yeah.
Yeah. So Prince did the soundtrack,
Yeah.
and he had a massive hit called the Bat Dance.
Oh.
Is it the one that's playing in the parade scene,
It's in the movie at one point. I don't know.
or is it like when he's in the museum?
How does it go?
destroying shit?
I don't know the fucking.
Can you sing it?
I'll pull up the lyrics, but
Can we play the song? Can we do the bat dance?
it's Ooh, I got a live one here. Ha ha ha.
Sucks.
This is
Anyone who
way
likes
better.
Prince is a jerk.
This is way better than the actual
Get the
soundtrack.
funk up, Batman. Get the funk up, Batman.
I
You've
I've
it's
probably
in the
heard this,
movie.
but I can't tell from your singing.
Anyway. Anyway, Bat Dance was like a big hit, and it was like a dance people were doing at the time in the 80s. So when you mentioned Prince, I had to mention the Bat Dance.
Right. Great. Back to Novgorod. It's a republic, and they have this city council who elects the prince. And the prince they elect is a guy named Alexander Nevsky.
Okay.
And
That's a nerdy name.
Nevsky?
Alexander Nevsky. That sounds like a guy that like you copy your math off of.
Well, he's pretty badass.
Okay.
You'll see why in a minute. The Rus are in a really bad position because to the east you have the Mongols, Batu Khan and his brutality, and they are now vassals of them.
Is this is Genghis' son?
It is his grandson.
I thought Kubla was his grandson.
He's got many grandsons.
Okay.
I assume he has, because
The Golden Horde. Yeah. I'm sure you've heard of that.
Yes.
In the West,
he did a lot of fucking.
there is stuff happening. So the Rus are really infatuated with the Byzantines, and they've adopted their church, the Eastern Orthodox Christian Church. In the West is the last remnants of European paganism. This is places like Estonia, Lithuania, the Baltic states. The Pope has launched a crusade. It's called the Northern Crusade.
Okay.
And German knights and Livonians have invaded the Baltic states and are in a brutal war putting down paganism, just killing everybody.
They're just killing the pagans in the
Yes.
name of the church.
And what happens is the Livonian Order, the Brotherhood of the Sword,
That's a cool name.
there's an awesome name.
Yeah.
They get caught because they didn't want to, like it's real swampy, and they didn't want to fight.
They
on
want swamp
foot.
ass.
They didn't want to fight on foot, so they wanted to wait till morning one day, and they made camp. And in the middle of the night, the pagans came out of the woods and murdered all of them. Killed like
Berserkers.
everybody.
I imagine pagans coming out of the woods is like the scariest thing. Like they have like dead deers on their head
Yeah.
and shit, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Chanting.
It's all fun and games till the woods start speaking German.
exactly. It's
Yeah.
like what the fuck is happening?
So the Livonian Order is destroyed. I'm sorry, no, the Brotherhood of the Sword is destroyed. They, what's left of them, join the Teutonic Order. These are German knights, and they will form eventually what will become Prussia. You've heard of that?
Have you ever heard of the Prussian kissing devil?
No, what's that?
Oh, the Prussian kissing devil is a Tell 'em Steve Dave item
Oh.
that Brian Quinn acquired. It's the skull of a dead Prussian man that was like bronzed, and it's a cursed item. And
Is it here in the shop?
it is in the store. I'll show
When
you
next
before
to
you
a
leave.
cursed item.
Yeah.
How's it
If you
cursed?
give money to it, it will grant your wishes. But if you take money from it, it fucking curses you and brings like bad shit upon
Pay
you.
it for wishes?
Yeah.
Have you done this?
I have. Holy shit, it actually worked. I didn't realize my Prussian wish came true.
Wow.
What?
Yeah.
What was the wish?
Can you not
Well,
say
I'm not
if
gonna
you say
say
the
it.
wish, it breaks it?
Yeah,
right?
I'm not gonna say
you're
what
not
it
gonna
is.
say You're not gonna say it. I think we could kind of piece it together considering where we're sitting.
There's some good things that happen because of it.
Okay.
Do you have $1 on you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it costs, $1 for a wish?
I don't know. Is there a minimum?
How
There's no
grand are the
minimum.
wishes? Like,
Grand as you want it,
Yeah.
but try to keep it reasonable because if it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So yeah, the knights are fighting the pagans, and they eventually start to win. Meanwhile, in Scandinavia, you might remember the Vikings.
Who?
Yeah,
Oh, there's the History Channel show about
that's
them,
right. Ragnar Lothbrok.
The football team.
The Minnesota Vikings were up there.
They just beat the Jets this week.
Did they?
Yeah.
It's not this
Sorry.
week technically.
No, they've beat the Jets a month ago.
From now, you predicted the future.
So the Vikings have converted to Catholicism. They're done with the pagan shit. And they decide to, they're still raiding, and they invade the Russ lands.
But were they raving?
Yeah, they were hanging out under an underpass and doing a goth dance.
Like that early
had
night,
their-
Yeah.
early video of the Viking in the techno
remember
dance. Yeah,
The techno Viking, and he had like an army of guys behind him as he danced down
and
the
he's
street.
pointing at people if they're not dancing.
Yeah,
It's just like the Ooga Chaka video.
it's ancient internet shit.
Yeah, it's
I don't think
so-
I know this.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
We're talking 15
boy.
years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the Vikings invade Russ lands, and Nevsky's like, nah, not having this. So he takes an army out of the city, meets them in battle, kicks the shit out of them, forces them to leave. Believe it or not, the city founders are mad at him about this because the Swedes and Norwegians are their best customers as far as their trade monopolies
He
go.
fucked with the money.
Fucked with the money, so they exile him. They force him out of the city, and he's forced to leave. Then the Pope, who is happy that the pagans have been put down on the Baltic states, decides to launch another crusade, this time on the Rus. Because
A lot of crusading
they
going
are
on.
heretics. They're the Eastern Orthodox Church. They do not bow to the Pope. So they
Do they have a pope of their own?
have a pontiff, like a supreme pontiff guy.
Do they still have one?
If they do, he's in Russia. I don't really know, to be honest
Okay.
with you. They invade now, and this is bad because unlike the Mongols don't really care what religion you are. They'll leave you alone.
They're secular,
Yeah.
right?
Well, they're not. They adopt other people's shit. They have like this Tangrist fucking sky god that they all like.
Is this like
But wherever they go, they tend to adopt wherever they're at.
Game of Thrones?
almost like Alexander the Great, kind of, where he just like
A lot of the ancient pagans were okay with this because if you
Mm-hmm.
have many gods, it's not a big deal if you just bring more.
just add one. It's
Yeah.
another guy to the party.
The Catholics, on the other hand, are going to stomp out this shit.
Yeah, they hate this.
Right. So this is a problem. And now the city fathers are forced to beg Nevsky to come back. So he does. And he ends up fighting them back across their border.
He fights the Catholics.
Fights the Catholics. He beats them at first. He takes a bunch of castles from them. Starts to invade their lands.
He's pulling a Braveheart.
He's pulling a
He
Braveheart.
sacks York.
He sacks York.
He could sack York.
He can invade all Lower England. But it ends up being a bad move because he doesn't have the resources to do this. So they kind of bounce back fairly quickly, and they start to push him back, and they really hurt him. This all culminates on the Battle of the Ice, which is what
Battle of the Ice. Okay. I like the preamble, the backstory.
Yes. So in April of 1242, on the frozen Lake Papus,
Lake Pappas.
which is right on the border between the Livonian states,
You got to be a dad to go there. It's for the Pappas.
the Rus principalities,
It's right next to the Mamas. The Mamas and the Papas.
they meet on this frozen lake. And if you can
They
imagine,
play a hockey game
They did not.
This is when hockey was invented. That's what they say.
with someone's severed head.
Yeah.
The German knights are heavily armored. It's the classic, knight.
Knight.
He's got the cross and the big armor helmet. He's got the pike. What do you call it? The lance.
The lance,
The
yeah.
lance. So if you can imagine hundreds of these guys on horseback charging across the ice,
I imagine it's slippery.
it is slippery. The Rus, on the other hand, have Mongol tactics on their side, and they have these horse archers. So what they do is they split the army, and they managed to outflank the knights in like a pincer movement and cut them down to pieces. And they annihilate the Teutonic
Just using their
Order.
archers.
Yes.
They kill the knights.
We got to
kill
really
the knights, they
we gotta
win the
discuss
battle.
that for a second.
So-
Okay, sure.
Because I watched a video recently where they take medieval armor
Yeah.
and they take an ancient longbow and they're just shooting at the armor to see where it penetrates. You really have to be insanely
Really accurate, yeah.
Because the weak points are the differential between plates.
Right.
So the shoulder, the neck, armpits, places where it's connecting. And it can only be hit if you're like while you're moving. Because if I duck down, that connection's blocked, and it's probably not going to pierce. It might bounce off ricochet or something like that. So for them to pull that off just is a testament.
It is a
of how
miraculous
lethal they
victory
were
for them because
on ice.
on ice, and they are outnumbered and they
So,
are outarmed.
What I thought you were going to say is they were so heavy with all the
fell
armor
in the ice?
that they fell in the ice.
Not this time. It's cold up there. You wanted me to pick a cold thing. Ice is strong. Nevsky, after the battle, is sainted by the Eastern Orthodox Church, and
They're like, this is the guy.
yes, and it's pretty much well accepted that if it wasn't for victory in this battle, that church would not exist today.
Wow.
Oh, it's game over.
Yeah, he's the savior of the Eastern Orthodoxy,
I guess
Okay.
realistically, the
I've never heard
Mongols are the
this.
savior.
and you can
You can argue
definitely argue that Russian culture and the Russian state never would have metastasized if they didn't win here.
So the whole world is different. if
Oh, yeah.
This battle goes a different
Totally.
way.
Wow.
Yeah, I guess they would have been forced to become Catholic.
Yeah, and they would have been tied to Rome.
Yeah.
In the West.
Because essentially they're like, okay.
Russia has always identified as like non-European and European at the same time.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like I always get confused when people call them Europe, and I'm like, are they a kind of Asia too? It's
They
like,
don't know, you know,
Yeah.
and they like it that way.
It's weird.
It's
They're their own thing.
in the years that came after this. Eventually the Muscovites would gain a lot of power, and they'd be the ones that kind of lead the charge to get rid of the Golden Horde and the Mongols. And when that happens, the Tsars start. And for the longest time, the Tsars were their own thing. They did not care about Europe. They wanted nothing to do with Europe. It's not until Peter the Great in the 1700s.
Peter the Gay.
Peter the Gay.
He was like, yeah.
He's very gay. He's sucking dick and slinging cock.
Let's celebrate.
It's not until Peter the Great that they really tie themselves to European affairs. So that's my story.
That was good. I
That's
liked
interesting.
it. I did
is.
not know that. I learned something.
I think
Yeah,
that
definitely.
whole area is woefully underrepresented in Western education.
In the West,
Yeah.
like we just don't give a shit about anything that didn't like directly involve America for the most part.
Yeah, if it didn't
Or
America,
Europe- or Europeans. Well,
if it
I'm
didn't affect
speaking-
us in some way.
I'm speaking about, from us.
Like your average American doesn't like know anything about like Napoleon. And that's,
Your average
like, the most
American doesn't
important
know
thing.
anything about their own fucking
He
country.
just wants the grill.
He just
Like
wants to-
real quick,
Yeah.
I'll never forget this. When we worked at Applebee's, this has to be like 2007-ish, 8-ish. There was a girl who was studying to be a teacher,
Oh yeah.
and she became a teacher.
Yes.
And we had a debate amongst our friend group how much history the average worker at Applebee's knew.
Yeah.
And we asked basic history questions.
She didn't know who the Nazis were.
She didn't know who the Nazis were. She thought we fought alongside them in World War II.
Yeah.
Just the basic of basic questions. Who's on the $20 bill?
Yeah.
Like things like
Yeah, I remember
that.
we are nerds, and we are elitist nerds. I remember going
I don't know.
around
That doesn't sound
and
too
ask-
elitist.
No, but I was asking like our coworkers, like, do you know who is on all the money? And a lot of them, like,
Probably
they handle
not,
this
yeah.
shit every day.
Yeah.
It's in their pocket. They have no idea who's on the money. You know?
It happens.
Who's on the 10?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Off the top of my head, no, I don't care.
You really don't know?
I haven't carried money in forever.
Oh my God.
Jackson,
No! Brian?
Michael Jackson.
You're asking me?
Yeah.
Who's on the 10?
Who's on the 10?
Bitch ass Hamilton.
Okay, good.
Hamilton.
I was going to say, we're losing our credibility right now.
No, I know.
I didn't say shit. I'm okay
don't
not
like
being
Hamilton.
credible.
Fucking hate his guts.
You like Aaron Burr?
Yeah. But,
Who's up?
Steve, you're up.
I'll go next. Sure.
Something cold.
So, something cold. I brought a person.
A
And
person.
I brought a person.
Okay.
Sir Ernest Henry Shackleton.
That's a name.
Great name.
It is a damn
Great
cool
man.
name. It is a damn cool guy.
Do you think for short he liked to be known as Shaq?
Oh, I hope so.
Call me Shaq.
I hope so.
This chair doesn't like me.
What are you doing?
Trying to fix the chair.
He's
Make
doing
it
a
higher.
thing.
It's
He's
not
doing
working.
a thing.
You got
Remember
to
Rack, Shack, and Benny?
remember Shaq Fu?
Yeah,
I do remember Shaq Fu, yeah.
Shaq Fu is a great game.
Yeah.
I love Shaq Fu.
Shaquille O'Neal doing karate
Yeah.
on the Super Nintendo.
Well, he's doing Kung Fu. He's doing Shaq Fu.
Right.
Yeah.
Did he actually do karate in real life? Do we know this?
I think he's trained a little. He's big into UFC and stuff.
Was that pre-Shazam?
It's like in that era when he's just a superstar.
He did another movie where he's a robot man.
Steel.
Yes.
Yeah, he's the comic character, John Henry.
Oh, that's a comic book?
Yeah, he's one of the 4 people that like was going to replace Superman in the 90s before they brought Clark back.
Shaq as a robot man was going to replace Superman?
Well, the character is John Henry.
Uh-huh. Like the man who beat the steam shovel?
Exactly. It's like that's like kind of the joke.
Is he from the 1800s?
No, he's from modern.
Okay.
And he makes like, because Superman dies fighting Doomsday in the 90s. So there's a hole in Metropolis. And in the comics, they had this big event where 4 Supermen showed up. And they were like, one of these is the real Superman. Which one is it?
Ah.
And there was one, and he's in the metal outfit, and he's holding the hammer. And then is revealed to be, John Henry, whose superhero name is Steel, played by Shaq. But real quick, is Shaq one of the most beloved figures in like the last 30 years of American culture?
Pop culture.
Like nobody dislikes Shaq.
Everybody likes him. Seems
Right.
like a nice guy.
He's
Seems
very
fun.
very
You never
hard to
hear
decide.
anything bad about him. No. He told Kobe how my ass tastes.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Well, you know what happened to Kobe?
Rest in peace.
He died a fiery death on a helicopter.
No, he really is beloved, and like there's videos of him like partying at concerts and like just being a cool guy. But then again, how much do you really know when somebody's off
He
camera?
wasn't a big
you know?
box office draw, I'll tell you that.
No. Or a
No,
successful
definitely
rapper.
not.
Or was he a baseball player?
No, that's Michael Jordan.
I feel like he did something else. Did he do golf or something?
Maybe.
He might just play.
Yeah.
I don't think he tried professional.
Yes.
I don't
All
think
the
he has
athletes
to.
play.
Like once you hit that popularity, I don't think you really have to do much.
Do you remember when he went to Boston, I think, and he stood in... Or
He was on the Celtics.
Yeah, he was on the Celtics, but he sat on like steps
And
and
ate
posed.
caramel?
No, he posed like a statue for like 6 hours and didn't move, and fans were coming up, climbing on him, taking pictures with him.
Like one of those English guards at the palace.
Yeah, but it's
For
just
6
Shaq.
hours?
Yeah, he sat there like a whole day, letting people take pictures with
Long
him.
time.
That's cool.
It's funny.
He didn't get hungry or like,
Shactus.
that's one of the best commercials ever.
When he's playing Scrabble.
He's playing Scrabble and he just has a ton of cues, and they don't know where he got them from. And he won't tell them.
Anyway,
Let's talk about Shackleton.
Let's talk about Shackleton. He was born 1874.
a little bit before Shaquille O'Neal.
Slightly, but
Perhaps more than that.
he wasn't as big of a man in stature, but in nature he was.
In spirit.
In spirit, he was way bigger.
But how many points did he have? What's his stat line? Rebounds? Did he tell anyone how my ass
Honestly,
tastes?
his stats are not that good. But we'll go over it.
Okay.
I want to just go over a couple of his credentials first.
Okay.
'Cause I think that's important. He has the CVO, which is the Royal Victorian Order. So he was a commander of the knighthood.
Oh, he's knighted.
He's Sir Ernest Henry Shackleton, sir.
This is an Englishman we're talking about.
This is an Irishman who moved to England when he was 10. So for all intensive purposes, we could say he's mainly English because he
But he's
worked
from
for the British,
Ireland.
but he's from Ireland.
Right.
It is the UK at this point.
Well, Ireland is completely under English control.
Exactly.
British control.
Yeah, so he's, for all intensive purposes, we could say he's British.
Yes.
The OBE, the Order of the British Empire. It's a section of the
medal.
empire that honors arts and science, and he was an officer of that.
Okay.
So he's a scientist. The FRGS, the Royal Geographical Society, which was the UK group,
yeah.
and there was also one for Scotland. He's part of that one as well, which he has his own medal that is given out at this time.
The Shackleton.
It's called the Shackleton Medal.
Wow.
We need our own one of those.
We got to do some
In
serious,
America.
serious
Oh,
stuff
I
to do
thought-
that.
And it's called
I
the
thought you meant the show. Was gonna-
Yeah, that's what I thought. Like interviewing history.
The Order of the
medal.
Ruperts.
No, I want it to be the Order of the Shacks. and we give you a medal with Shaquille O'Neal's face on it.
I'm assuming he's smiling though. He's like,
Yeah.
really happy to be on the medal.
Yeah, it's a happy Shaq.
Shazam.
See if I can make that picture. But yeah, he was the second oldest of 10 siblings.
Oh, his parents like to
Big.
fuck.
Oh yeah, and in fact, little side note, his younger brother, which was younger by I believe by like a year or two, in 1907 was a prime suspect of the theft of the Irish crown jewels, but they never found the jewels, and he didn't get caught. He didn't get sentenced, which is pretty cool.
I thought you were gonna say he was Jack the Ripper. That would have been more interesting.
That would have been more interesting, but no, he's not. But it's pretty cool that like he has
Could
this
he
little
have
like
been?
connection.
Do they overlap?
Maybe. Yeah.
If he went to England,
Yes.
of course.
It's the right time period.
Okay.
Yeah, 1874 ish is when he was born. So yeah, that sounds about right. But he was a smart kid. Fifth out of his class out of about 30, 32. So he was up there. But he was so bored that he left school at 16.
Don't blame him.
No, how can you? But he joined as an apprentice sailing on a vessel.
Okay.
It was specifically for the Northwestern Shipping Company, and the ship was called the Hogton Tower. So he starts really early in his sailing career.
Where do they go?
All over the world.
Okay.
Every single port you could probably think of, the man hit in a 4-year time frame.
What are you, a fucking world traveler?
This guy
You
was.
sailing with Marissa Tomei?
This guy was. He worked up to the second mate and then eventually third officer on a steamer. So he had wide variety of experience because at this point, as you could imagine, there's still some classical ship sailing.
Oh yeah.
And there's also
the age of
steamboats
sail
coming out.
hasn't completely died.
Isn't
Exactly.
like a steamer a
Brunel.
step down though? I mean, you're just cleaning carpets all day.
You mean Stanley?
Stanley
Steamer.
Yeah.
Makes your home cleaner. Very good.
Thank
Good
you.
one. In 1898, he was certified as a master mariner, which means now he can command any British ship anywhere in the world,
Star.
which is pretty cool to me. I thought that was awesome.
Wait.
But he can supersede captain.
Yes, that's what I'm wondering.
He's allowed to be a commander if somebody tells him to command the ship. He needs to be.
Oh.
He has the
authority.
credentials.
Right.
Not the authority yet, but the credentials.
Right. Okay. He can stand in.
Right. So because of that, and because he's sailing all over the world, he's doing these different jobs, he meets some important people, and he gets an in on a ship called the Discovery, which is one of the first expeditions.
Dun, dun, dun.
To
Drum
Antarctica.
roll. There it is. This is what he's known for.
This is what he's
Now-
known for.
Did he find it an advantage that he was able to use the spore drive and the other ships that followed later, like the NC-17, 01,
Well, there are other ships that follow later that are similar.
but like Kirk didn't have a spore drive,
Right.
and the
NC-17.
Discovery. What is it?
NCC 117. No,
Wow.
107.
107.
Wow, you fucking nerds.
I'm so bad with
But he just named like a porn rating, the NC-17.
yeah.
And I felt compelled to correct him.
No, I'm glad you did. I don't want my Trek credentials in doubt.
Our credentials are flying right now.
But
The
yeah,
fact that you're referencing Discovery to begin with is just embarrassing. Don't even bring that shit up.
Yeah. I mean, the ship.
it was
is named
just that they named it Discovery. I
They
just had
did,
to make
yeah.
a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, spore drive.
But this was for
Who's
science and
tardigrade?
discovery.
But it's real quick. It doesn't make sense. The spore drive exists in Discovery, but not on
Oh,
Enterprise.
don't you know that
or
they were dictated by the Federation to never speak about it ever?
this amazing technology
Yeah.
that that can make everything
Spock's
better.
sister. Fuck you.
I apologize to those who don't like Trek.
Fuck you, Paramount.
Anyway, so this was specifically for science and discovery and overall just exploration.
They wanted
right?
to go check out the South Pole.
check out the South Pole. That's what they were trying to do. They were trying to get more information on it. It hasn't really been explored.
What year is it?
Right now,
It's
this is
2003. They want to get their Jamaica Jacks, their cool sweatpants. Do you remember South Pole?
Oh, South Pole. Okay. Oh, that was a reach.
I used to wear a lot of South Pole.
The other guy had
That was very
FUBU on.
popular. That was very popular back in the day. They had nice jeans. They had comfortable jeans.
South Pole had
Remember?
good
Yeah.
shit, man.
1901 to 1903.
Uh-huh.
So
That was the
if you
first
think about when he's born, 1874, he's a young lad around this time, you know? Now, it did not go well for him.
Why?
The man got really sick He was
does it in the
coughing.
cold.
He was coughing a lot. So the commander relieved him of his duties and sent him away after he was being examined by a medical person. Now, there's some debate about this because the commander was said to not like him because he was very popular amongst the crew. And the commander was like, I got to get this guy out of here.
Like a rivalry.
It's like a
A
mutiny.
rivalry situation. It's like preventing a possible mutiny. There was no real ill blood known on the ship, but that's rumored. It's not really proven.
It's not a Captain Bligh situation.
No, not exactly. But honestly, considering the type of person he is that we'll find out, I can't imagine that being the case. I think he actually was sick because he was.
Sure. He probably ate some bad breadfruit.
There's so many possibilities, like because a lot of the mission went wrong. Like the dogs died out because they were like sick. They couldn't travel for where they wanted to travel. So like
Slide dogs?
yeah, slide dogs. So a lot of things were going wrong on the trip because you're in the Antarctica. It's really cold.
Was this the first time they ever saw like a penguin? And they were like,
No, I don't think so.
What is this? And they tried to like bring it in.
Maybe some of them, but I'm pretty sure there were penguins.
Some sicko was like, this is my wife.
There's penguins in South Africa.
He just has
You think there's a lower class Englishman fucking a penguin?
on the ship.
Oi! I'm bringing it back with me.
She's having me babies. He's went mad because he's been at sea so long that he's fucked a penguin
Right.
that is laying on eggs
Right.
and he thinks they're his. He's been driven to madness.
They're mostly members of the British Army, and they're just psychopaths.
Right. And they're all very low class based on their accent.
That's
They also did sail out of New Zealand a lot too, so it's definitely possible to get a Cockney accent
Down there.
Oh no, they would. They would sail
Yeah.
from South America, New
Sure.
Zealand, or anywhere, South Africa, you name it.
Makes
Anything
sense.
south, they're sailing from there.
All right.
Whatever was safe at the time. Now he was harbored for a little bit. Wasn't really doing much, but he was known at this point now because not many people traveled that part of the world.
famous
and
guy.
He's famous. He's gaining a lot of fame. Now, 1907 rolls around. He goes on a second voyage on the ship the Nimrod. Now, it's another British Antarctic expedition.
Now, real quick. Nimrod, like, in our world, like, if I called you a Nimrod, doesn't it mean, like, you're a fucking idiot?
Yes.
Kind of, yeah.
But it's also a Babylonian king. And I think it's more
probably that
closely
one,
associated with that.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know it was a Babylonian king.
Mm-hmm.
Was he an idiot?
He may have been.
Oh, maybe.
Okay.
But why would you name a ship after him then?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I can't tell you.
So I hear Nimrod and I
Or
think
is it
idiot.
Persian? Something in the Mideast in the ancient times.
I'm
Nimrod.
not
Killer
sure.
King Nimrod.
But Shackleton was known to be a charismatic person, so he was the one keeping the group in high spirits. Morale was up because of him. They had some bad weather, and I believe one of the only reasons most of the time they survived was directly because of his actions and ideas.
Really?
Oh, yeah. So
Keeping them alive.
this specific expedition was 180 kilometers
This will
from
not be
the
an easy
exact
mission.
South Pole. So this was very close to the exact South Pole. 180 kilometers is not that far for what they traveled here.
No, it's very close. Monkey Slow
Oh, yeah.
expedition.
And
They
it all-
discovered the Beardmore Glacier.
Well, it all started to go wrong for them fairly quickly when a husky appeared out of the wilderness, the icy wilderness, and came over to them. And then it took on the forms of the various members one by one, slowly turning into each and every member of the crew until only Kurt Russell and the black dude were left.
Right.
Sitting in the
That's the plot of the thing.
Yes.
Yes. Well, they're in the Arctic. I thought it fits.
I never saw that.
What?
You never saw the thing?
No, I never saw it.
Dude, it's a fucking
Are you
masterpiece.
fucking kidding me?
We've never discussed this. I don't know why. Like you're shocked.
It's-
That
It's just an amazing
Hey,
movie.
yeah, like you should see it.
okay.
It's worth watching.
You're on a movie podcast, for Christ's sake.
You're on a history podcast. You know who's on the 10.
That's true.
Fight!
So they get to the Beardmore Glacier. They discover it, and it's actually named after one of Shackleton's patrons.
Okay.
I don't know the patron's name, but
Beardmore.
it's probably Beardmore, but I don't know the whole name. they're actually one of
Beardmore
the,
a hairy gentleman, and he was
would
known
assume
for
so.
beard.
I would assume so.
it just gets bigger and
I would
bigger.
assume so. But they're one of the first persons to actually see the South Polar Plateau, which is pretty cool. It's a massive glacier, and it's all new to them. It's the age of exploration. It's fucking awesome. But because they got so far, and the inclement weather that I mentioned before,
Yes.
they now had to race back or face starvation, which is brutal, like very brutal. It actually became
I never thought about like they're using sled dogs.
yeah. They had to eat them most of the time.
Really?
Oh yeah.
That sucks.
Oh, yeah. If traveling to the Arctic, if you ran out of rations or you realize you're low, they'll just kill the dog and eat it.
I would hate to eat my own sled dog.
And
That's so
they're
sad.
cute, and you probably love them, and it just like sucks. But that or dead. So you're probably gonna pick that.
You couldn't find like a penguin.
You gotta respect the tenacity of these guys that come back again. After the first.
This guy came back like 3 times.
Oh, I know. I know
It's
about the big
insane.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the suffering and starvation was so bad they were limited to 1 biscuit a day, which the biscuit's not big, and you're basically
Yeah, I mean, you
dying.
give them the dogs as treats biscuits.
That's true.
Yeah.
I have heard that.
How's that going to fill a man?
Now there was a sick man on the ship named Frank Wild, and Frank Wild was to the point of death, and Shackleton gave him his ration and handed it to
Was he a
him.
civilized gentleman, or was he wild?
He was
I'm
ill-behaved.
assuming he's ill-behaved. I don't know if that's his real name or nickname.
Do you know he was born to be wild, actually?
Really?
Yeah.
The song's about him.
Yeah.
Is he from Minnesota?
He said something.
He's on the road looking for adventure.
He said something pretty incredible about Shackleton. All the money that
got a
was.
huge cock.
I knew I couldn't get through it. I tried to beat you guys and I couldn't do it. I should have waited.
He's a bitch.
He's a bitch.
I don't like. He stinks. I don't
I'm
like him.
trying to make him look so good. All the money that was ever minted would not have bought that biscuit, and the remembrance of that sacrifice will never leave me because
Because he gave up his ration.
he gave up basically almost his life at this point. A couple of little tidbits from that exploration. They first to ascend Mount Erebus.
What's that?
Don't know.
It's a mountain.
Okay.
It's a mountain in Antarctica. They discovered the exact location of the South Magnetic Pole. Thought it was
That's
pretty
cool.
cool. And because of this,
How did they discover it? Like, I'm not being funny here, but you guys are gonna think I'm an idiot. But if you put like a metal object by the South Pole, will it levitate or anything? Like, is there
This
a
is
magnetic
just a
field?
guess, but I'm gonna assume that if you have a compass
Mm-hmm.
and you are standing on the magnetic poles, whether that be north or south,
Spins.
It'll spin.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think they used a weather balloon.
and that's how
for
they
that.
knew they were on
They're
the.
on the exact spot.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
So they returned heroes, especially Shackleton, because his notoriety is that before, and then he returns and it's like, oh my God, you actually saved a bunch of people, and it's pretty
He's a
cool.
hero.
He's a hero, yeah.
Did he fuck?
I think he had a wife. I don't think he
The
had
penguin.
some kids, but I don't think
He
he was
fucked the penguin.
fucking too much.
Yeah.
He published The Heart of the Arctic, or the Antarctic, excuse me.
And then that old lady threw it in
in
the ocean at the end.
That bitch threw his book in. And some remnants of this expedition were rediscovered in 2010, and they found a bunch of casks of whiskey
Really?
that we'll get into later. Yeah.
That's cool.
Now,
Oh,
we'll get into it.
Okay.
We'll get into it. Now, the Trans-Antarctic expedition of 1914 to
they're gonna
1917.
cross the continent.
They're going to cross the continent. This is funded by private donations.
And what
That's how
really
popular
made it
this guy
impressive was they all had sex change operations, which is
trans,
why it was the
right.
trans.
Right,
Yes.
right. How did they do it without, modern technology? Who knows?
He was Shackleton when this was all over. Because, they have to use Latin
Yeah.
verbiage.
Funded by private donations.
Ernest.
5,000 people signed up to go on this trip, which I think is pretty insane because you might die. So, when he's interviewing, most of the places, the expeditions, that he went on were military, government funded. Since this was private, he was a little more liberal about who he picked to go on because he wanted somebody more of strong will.
For some
than
reason, it's
talent.
all hot chicks.
Now, around this time, what is happening around 1914 to 1917?
The crisis.
The crisis.
The August crisis. The July crisis.
What
So-
is this?
there's a certain Archduke that got shot.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't hear what year he said.
1914 to 1917.
Oh, I know what's happening.
They're leaving in July. The war starts in August.
Okay.
So, despite the war,
Right.
Churchill says, "You're okay to go on this expedition."
Who was Lord of the Admiralty. So,
August 3rd, 1915, there's a problem now. So they go on this expedition. They're hitting there. It's really cold at the time, colder than they expected, and the Endurance freezes in an ice floe. August 3rd, 1915, which
The
is
Endurance is the ship he's on this time.
yes.
the Endurance of the ship.
Do you know how he earned this one? The name for this one? Because of how long he was lasting after he came back. Because what actually happened was he got an erection the first time, and it
Really?
froze. So he was always erect after this.
No kidding.
And when he came back, every time he had sex, he would just last forever because it was just like a frozen erect
cock.
penis. And that's why they dubbed this ship, that's why they named it the Endurance. Because he
Beautiful.
was noted for his
Thank you.
stamina.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
It's a great part of history. So the Endurance freezes. So Shackleton is like, okay, we can't sail. We have to abandon the idea of sailing, but let's create like an outpost with the ship so we could still live on it and survive until the spring.
Right.
Because if the ice melts, we could sail away.
We're in southern hemisphere, therefore August is the dead of
Oh,
winter.
yeah. Yes.
Oh, it's reverse.
Yes. 2 hops this time. Slide to the left. Slide to the right.
Crisscross. Now,
Reverse.
when the snow melts in September, a problem happens.
So they wanted to be woken up when September ends.
Yes. The pressure of the ice and the melting of the ice moves it that it breaks the hull. So they start taking on water. By October 24th, the Endurance
I prefer Rocktober.
is underwater and it's sinking by November 21st. It takes a little while because of the ice, but it sinks and it goes
Ship is
down.
sinking.
So they have no choice but to
Should have
make
built
camp.
you a better ship, Rose.
I assure you, she can. And she will. Now, they decide we got to make camp. Problem is,
Now, why did Shackleton not go down with the ship?
Why?
why would you go down with the ship?
It's sinking at like 1 inch
Yeah.
a day.
I'm going to go down, man.
He says like, goodbye. And he's just standing.
They're sleeping, waking up.
Anytime
next to each
now.
other. Don't wait for me, man.
Go on, you have to survive.
You're like 5 feet away.
It's legit like Austin Powers. The guy screaming.
No. Tell my wife I love her.
Tell her yourself. No.
No, I don't want
Honor demands.
honor demands. He's saluting. It takes 2
The
months.
far better thing I do now.
Christ.
Anyway.
Anyway, so they camp out 2 months on an ice floe, which is just a large, like flat piece of ice that they're hoping that it's going to float towards an island, which to me is like cartoon world
Wow.
in my own mind. Yeah,
Just by chance?
they're just hoping that the flow of water is going to push them towards an island.
Like what type of island? Like
There's an
tropical island?
No,
like
no.
a frozen rock.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a known island where they have like an outpost with some resources and they could be saved.
Whalers were in the area. Like they had a ship.
Yeah.
Hartford was there. They were doing their training.
Right. They would come down, skate around with the penguins,
Yeah.
have sex with them.
They're trying to get to what's known as
I
like,
don't know,
Elephant
like, about
Island.
the human penguin hybrid that spawned from those hellish eggs.
It's Danny DeVito. He got sent down the river.
Right, he's Oswald
Cobblepot
Cobblepot Shackleton.
Ah!
My nose could be gushing with blood.
So they realize they're not drifting where they should. They find another ice floe, and they get on that and hope for the best. it splits in half while they're trying to get on it. So they have to get on lifeboats and travel for about 5 days to Elephant Island. Now, to give you an example of that short 2 sentences, the endurance where it sank compared to Elephant Island is 346 miles.
Holy shit.
So they were drifting.
Yeah.
And they had to travel. And believe it or not,
I wondered if you know.
this man, during his travels, realized his photographer lost his mittens. Shackleton gives him his mittens. There's pictures of the boat. Gets frostbite in all his fingers.
Yeah, sure. You can't
So
lose your mittens.
he sacrifices a lot just to
keep his men alive.
To keep his men alive. Each one of them survive. None of them die. Fucking hero.
That
Now,
never happened.
they get back.
They get back to England.
They get back.
They make it.
They go, what's up? What's going on? We're at war.
The entire world is tearing itself apart. So what does he do?
He joins World War I.
He's in the fucking trenches now.
Wow.
He signs up for World War I. The problem is, he was in the Arctic. He has frostbitten fingers. He's half an alcoholic. His heart is like not doing well. And they're like, you really can't
How old is he?
join the infantry. At this time, it's 1917.
40s.
Okay.
Yeah, he's about
He shouldn't be that.
no, about
decrepit.
40s, yeah.
I mean, he has a lot of miles on
He's
that
got
car.
miles from the travel. But they're like, you know what you could do? You're great for propaganda. So he wants to fight.
Yeah.
But they're like, let's just
Wants to do his bit for
do
king
your
and
best.
country.
He gets sent to Spitsbergen, which is in Norway, to do a
Sex show. with the
established
penguin.
British president.
Come see the hero. Fuck the penguin.
They set up a mining operation.
against humanity and God? Come see.
Travesty, eroticism, you decide.
Look at God's abortion. It's the hybrid baby.
Kill me. So they do a mining operation in Norway just to establish a British presence, but sadly he has a heart attack and he's sent back.
Oh man, Shaq's done.
Oh no, don't worry. He got called for the Russian Civil War and he's like, yeah, I'm in.
Oh God.
Wait, the Russian Civil War.
Russian
Yeah.
Civil War is
Oh,
happening.
The communists.
So he just, but he's British, right?
yeah.
He is British.
He just decides I gotta go be a communist.
They sent.
Well, the
they said-
Northern Russian Expeditionary Force
Right.
recruits him because he has experience in the Arctic and knows how to survive. So to set up
so
a presence
train
there, they
the men.
hire him. Exactly. And he does it. He actually does it. So much so that he's like, I need to do another expedition.
The British were, and the Americans were.
They were coming on the penguins.
They operated out of Archangel, which
Really
is
brings a new meaning to the sports team.
Yeah.
But he wants to go explore the Arctic again, specifically the Beaufort Sea. Canada has some interest in
The
this.
Buford Mad Dog Tendency.
He gets a 125-ton Norwegian sealer, and it's called the Quest. The goal was to reach sub-Antarctic islands that weren't explored yet, and it was going to be called the Shackleton Rowett Expedition in September 16th, 1921. Sadly, he does a farewell address, which is actually claimed to be the first talking picture. I don't know if that's true.
like
This is in 1921, 1922. The first talking picture, they recorded him doing a farewell address. We can look this up.
What about the jazz singer?
That's usually the first talking movie.
Right.
Well, the person who
Yeah, you assume that it had been done,
A test, yeah.
not fucking a film.
sadly, he suffered 2 heart attacks from drinking and passed away before they can depart on his last
Well.
voyage.
It's quite a life.
But he is not completely forgotten. Because how did we find out about this man?
We were drinking a scotch.
We drank
Isn't it
the
funny
fucking
that
scotch.
he died because of alcoholism? And now there's a scotch named
Just-
after him that's really good.
Well, the thing is, it's the scotch itself. Because they found those barrels, they were able to find out
In
the
Antarctica.
exact recipe. Yeah, the exact recipe and ingredients.
deconstructed it.
They deconstructed the scotch and remade it so you can actually drink the scotch that they were drinking on the expedition.
And it's a damn fine
And that's what we drank. We
Yes.
drank Arctic Expedition Scotch.
Shackleton.
Shackleton. And that's from our sponsor, Shackleton.
So, wow. So you guys didn't know about him until you got
No,
this.
That's
Stash.
where we heard about
We
him. Yeah.
bought it came in a really cool box, and you see like a map of the Arctic, and it says Shackleton, and it says like from the Arctic expedition. I'm like, what the hell is this? I turn it around and I read the story. I'm like, it blew me away, and we bought it, and it turns out it tastes like about a $70 scotch for my scotch drinkers out there.
It's like a Glenlivet,
But it
it's
was
only
like
$30.
30 to 40. Now it's a little more expensive. It's about 40 because we keep buying it.
Shackleton. Look, if you're out there,
Give it a
send a
shot.
bottle to the guys.
That'd be nice.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Right?
Give us free stuff.
Yeah.
Do that.
No, not at all. Well, at least give it a try. Right?
They'll
Try
drink.
it out.
They'll drink it on air.
They're gonna look at us and be like, "We don't want them."
No.
The face of the company. Get so drunk he'll fuck a penguin. That's their new motto. I just ruined any shot, right?
All right.
Yeah, it's over.
All right, Brain.
But that's Shackleton. What a life, man.
Loved it.
That is awesome.
That was great.
It's cold.
So I looked up his recording. There's a 1909 sound recording.
Can we hear it?
And a 1970. Beaver's going to put it in now.
Main results of the British Antarctic expedition of 1907 under my command are as follows. We reached a point within 97 geographical miles of the South Pole. The only thing that stopped us from reaching the actual point was the lack of 50 pounds of food. Another party reached for the first time the South Magnetic Pole. Another party reached the summit of a great active volcano, Mount Erebus. We made many interesting geological and scientific discoveries and had many narrow escapes throughout the whole time.
Okay.
Okay, sure.
What do you got, Brain?
So I brought something cold. I brought Aaron Burr.
Are you kidding?
No, because you say Burr when you're cold. Like when you're freezing, you go Burr.
Did you know about Aaron Burr before you researched this?
Yeah, I did. You have such a pained look on your face.
Your puns know no bounds.
So, me and Beaver made this joke like 2 weeks ago about the cold things. And I was like, yeah, I don't know what cold thing I'm going to pick. And I was thinking about doing Aaron Burr, but and,
Not really cold, is it?
It's just the name Burr.
and Beaver goes, well, Burr, that's what you say when you're cold. And I was like, that's funny. And I decided that it'd be funny if I dragged you along on this.
Very good. All that for that stupid pun.
No, but we had good stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
We-
it's not
we
like it's
were
bad stuff.
laughing.
Yeah.
He's laughing.
No,
Facing a Yankee dollar.
So, Aaron Burr.
Aaron Burr.
I've teased a long time on the show, I think, that
You've loved him forever.
he's my favorite founding father.
Right.
Now, there's debate. Is he a founding father? Do you think he is?
Yeah.
I think so.
He certainly is.
Is his signature on anything? Like
was the vice
declaration and
He
stuff?
was a vice president. He fought in the
Then
Continental
yes.
Army.
Then yes, he's a founding father. Yeah.
I think if you're part of that generation, you're in. You get to be
Yeah, no
called
matter
a
what,
founding
you're
I
father.
always wonder, like if you're like some farmer guy, right? Like you had no real influence. You were just like a regular dude.
Yeah.
Like, what are you thinking as like all this is happening and like these great men? Like,
Wish I was grilling.
you wish you were grilling. Okay,
That's what those guys want to do.
they just want to
They
grill.
want to stay out of the way and do some grilling.
Look at that smart founding father. I better just tend to my grill. He's flipping his
Honey,
burgers.
bring out the Franklin grill.
So, Aaron Burr. We'll get into bits about his life, but should we just start with the elephant in the room?
What? Does it have anything to do with being
He's
cold?
gay?
No.
Oh. He's a homosexual?
No, Aaron Burr was a coxman.
A homosexual?
No, in fact, he loved prostitutes.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that the elephant in the room?
No. Well, what is Aaron Burr most famous for?
He invented the Charleston.
Yes. And the Charleston Chew.
Yeah.
No, he killed bitch-ass Hamilton.
Yeah, in a
hate
duel,
Hamilton.
right?
Yes.
So, the famous duel.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Okay. It's in Jersey.
Bring duels back.
So, duels at the time were more illegal in New York than New Jersey, but they still happened.
Sure.
It was like a misdemeanor thing.
It's like a thing that's culturally accepted, but like people realize it's like you shouldn't be doing this.
Barbarian.
You're not supposed
It
to.
was on the way out at the time.
It was dying.
It would get a big bump again with Andrew Jackson, but the age of the duel was coming to an end. 1780s, 90s.
Aaron Burr is a guy who, he had a couple duels in his life, and he was always right there in like the midst of political turmoil, and he rubbed a lot of people the wrong way.
I bet he did. And the right way, considering he was a coxman.
He had skills in the bed.
Yeah.
I found out today, I didn't know this, that he, at one point, he slept with a bunch of, like an Indian woman, and had a bunch
Dot or feather?
I would assume feather at this time?
No.
No?
No, it was Dot.
Really?
Yeah.
You're lying.
Are we certain about this?
No, I'm pretty sure that he had.
Because they were looking for India, and they didn't find it.
No, he had slept with a woman named Mary Emmons, who was East Indian.
Oh.
Okay.
Why the pause? Just
What does East
It's
India mean
neither.
of that time then?
no.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
What is
East Indian Trading Company. I thought that was India.
Yeah, I guess you're right. It is India.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
He had 2 children with her, one of whom went on to be like an Underground Railroad guy. Like he was like prominent in that stuff.
Really?
Yeah, like
He had a kid with her?
he had 2 with her. But like he never acknowledged them, never spoke about them. But he did have 2 children
Wow,
with her.
illegitimate children of mixed race.
Yep.
Wow.
And they were never acknowledged or anything. And years ago, the Aaron Burr Society paid for a DNA test
To make sure?
to determine if they were like actually related, and they
Really?
were. Yeah. And now they put like a note on like the headstone of the guy, the Indian son, and it was like like a son of Aaron Burr.
Wow.
But that's
That's
a little
early. Goddamn. He must have the only Indian in the country.
Yeah. I don't know where she came from.
Well, she was a servant in his household during his first marriage. She came from Calcutta.
That explains it.
Because the British, I guess, were the East Indian Trading
Oh, yeah.
Company.
They had operations in India at the time.
So they probably took her from there and brought her here. But the duel.
The duel.
The duel. What led up to the duel?
What led up to the duel? A couple of things. They were on the opposite ends of the political spectrum.
Yes. Federalist, anti-federalist.
Yes. Hamilton, obviously, big Federalist.
Yes.
Wanted, banks everywhere, government-owned banks,
He wanted a monarchy. pretty
basically.
This is why I don't carry around tens.
much. He would have been very happy with King George the First
He could
in
have.
Washington.
Oh, yeah. He would have loved that. Pure Federalist power. That's what he was about. And on the other end, you had the Democrats,
The Thomas Jeffersons.
the Jefferson
The
Democrats,
Jeffersonians.
which I heard someone say recently that if when they were like ratifying like the Bill of Rights and like all that shit, Jefferson was in France, if he had been here, like nothing would have got done.
No, he would have been a problem. Definitely.
Because the Federalists really like ran the show early on and established a foothold.
Yeah, well, you had big names with them, and John Adams was a Federalist, and they.
Washington.
Yeah, these are guys that wanted to have order and not just like willy nilly
Articles of Confederation
Right,
shit.
Yes. Well, they saw what a disaster that had been and wanted to get stuff going.
The thing that I think was a big problem with the Articles was the money situation.
That's so bad.
Like-
who thought that would work? And you want to get into it?
Yeah, so the Articles of Confederation, every state had their own currency,
Yeah.
and the exchange rates would be all weird and shit.
Yeah.
So if I have like 10 Pennsylvania bucks, it may equal like half a South Carolina buck or something.
And there was nothing. 'Cause the country had tons of debt from the war, like to France and stuff, and Spain, and there was nothing that compelled them to pay their debts. So, like, if Virginia paid up all its debt, there's nothing that made North Carolina do the same thing. So, like, if there's no federal government to say you must pay, you have to collect your taxes.
we have to get our money back.
It just doesn't happen. So yeah, it was a disaster. They had to figure shit out.
The early going on was definitely rough, like the Whiskey Rebellion and shit,
Yeah.
where it's like you just fought a war against taxes and now you're fucking
Now you're imposing a
tax.
tax. Hamilton, by the way.
The beef goes back. There's political lines that.
I
There's
think more than
blurred
political, it
lines.
was personal, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, we'll get to the personal in one second. There are also blurred lines. Burr,
yes.
Burr,
Right.
yeah, Burr famously had
Right.
2 hot girls
Yeah,
dancing
their
naked.
tits were out.
Yeah, he had the balloons.
Those would just be
Well,
knees.
Roz would hug
Right?
me.
It would just be their knees
There's
out.
a guy wearing an Arby's hat.
But Burr was a big dueler, and years earlier had dueled, I believe, one of Hamilton's cousins.
Oh yeah,
It was a relative,
I
yeah.
didn't know that.
Did he slay him?
I guess he did.
Or well, no, because duels
he
would
shot
end.
in the air like a weirdo.
No, if you're injured, the duel ends. It's not death. So he might have shot. him
Honor
like
is
a little-
satisfied.
Anyway, so they already had pre-existing beef, and he.
I like that you're using hip hop slang, because we're talking about Hamilton and whatnot.
That's just coincidental. That's just me being a New Yorker. That is just coming out.
Pre-existing beef.
They didn't like each other, and Hamilton becomes VP
See
to
this
Jefferson.
cat Hamilton? He be up in here.
Should I rap it?
Yeah.
That's real life. That's just the play at this point.
So Burr saw Hamilton, and he started blasting. Burr fell down, and on his body was wrestling. I don't know. The fucking doesn't make
that
sense.
was good. That was fucking fire. I'm gonna put that on TikTok. I'm gonna influence.
Anyway, so Burr and Jefferson were together. They were VP. He was the VP to Jefferson. And there was a letter that was published in the press slurring Burr's wife.
Slandering.
And basically saying horrible shit about her and really pissing off Burr.
Worthy of a duel.
And Aaron Burr, as any man would do,
Unless they're Brian at a wedding.
yeah. said, I have to defend my wife's honor.
Right.
And now I must fight. And I have a question. Why not just have fisticuffs and actually duel? Like, actually fight?
Because there has to be the threat of death. You need that.
It's not a real duel if you're
Yeah.
just
Okay.
having a nice little tit and tat. Because
Right.
also at this time, like there really wasn't violent crime like that. Like you could
No,
fight.
nobody ever.
No. I'm saying, like if I punch someone in the face, you get arrested for assault. If I punch somebody in the face back then, it's like nothing.
nobody- yeah.
Right. That's what I meant.
It's not enough.
So, and you're all walking around with pistols.
The duel would have been so much better if it was like a muck time style.
Sure. This comes down from the time of the beginning. The pow.
So
Two friends.
So they have their little tiff, right? And Hamilton accepts the challenge. And Hamilton got to pick the weapons. And this is the first thing he does. He picked a dueling set that had been used in a previous duel where Hamilton's like cousin shot one of Burr's buddies. Just as like a little fuck you, the same set. And Burr picked the place, and he picked Weehawken, New Jersey.
Yes.
And New York, they couldn't duel in because it was like more strict
city.
there. Yeah.
They
And
wanted to go someplace quiet.
they
out
went
of
to
the way.
Weehawken, and they went there. Now, this is how you know Hamilton is a first-class scumbag and shitlord.
Oh.
If you didn't know it before.
He altered the pistols and cheated.
What?
Yes. He changed the trigger pressure of the guns so that he would be able to fire off quicker with less trigger pressure.
Now, I understand that would make it easier to fire, but they are taking turns. It's not like it's a speed duel,
Well, if he shoots him first,
No, well, it's like we decide who is firing first. So you fire. Now it's the other guy's turn. The other guy can't like reload and fire again or something.
well,
They
they
don't fire at the same time.
yeah, they turn around and shoot.
I suppose there's
Yeah, they turn
different
and
methods of doing it. I guess is that what they did?
Yeah,
They did,
I'm pretty sure they.
paces?
Yeah, I'm pretty
yeah,
sure
they did paces and
yeah.
turned. So then he whipped out his gun and he shot. It went by Burr. hit the tree behind him and missed the tree. Now, typically in duels at this time,
You do that, the guy fires in the air.
he fires in the
satisfied.
air, honor is satisfied. But he technically doesn't have to.
Right.
So he puts Hamilton in his sights, blows him away. I don't think he thought he would die.
That's
think he wanted to
so
wound him?
difficult to
He
say.
shot him in the hip.
Yeah, but these things are terribly inaccurate.
That's
Yeah.
true. I was aiming for his head.
Yeah, right.
But if wait, so let me get this straight. The bullet hits behind him.
Hits behind
hits
Burr.
behind him.
Hits a tree.
He knows it hits the tree and still fires.
Yes.
So
Yes.
he's a dick.
Just executes him.
So he's a dick, right? Because if from what you guys
He
just-
hates this guy.
of course, but from what you guys say, you're supposed to fire in there, honor is satisfied.
You don't have to.
Right.
Okay.
It's like if me and you were in an MMA fight, right? And
Okay.
I win.
Okay.
I shake your hand after. I don't have to. You know? But it's the sportsman
I
thing.
feel like that's not a good analogy. Is there something better of analogy? Because
It's like,
that's just a handshake. This is life and death.
yeah, but it's like he really wants to put him in his fucking.
he fucking hates him. The
wants
guy
to
was
hurt him.
slandering his
Yeah.
wife. They have beef for years.
If it's like a fight, it's like we're gonna have a fucking duel, and
Yeah.
then both guys are like, all right,
They
we did it,
legally-
it's over. We're not gonna talk about this again. No, he wanted
to kill
when
him.
they
wanted to kill
the
him.
second the second you accept the duel and you step on that battlefield,
you
might die.
understand
Yes, you might
that
die.
death
Yes.
is in play.
it
Yeah.
could happen.
Yes.
And let's not forget, Hamilton cheated and had a bullet whiz by fucking Burr's head.
Yeah.
So
he
Yeah,
tried
yeah,
to kill
yeah.
him.
He
It's not
tried
like yeah.
Oh yeah, of course. No, I
It's not
know.
like he went like this.
But I thought it was supposed to be like at the same time, and if one person is quicker on the draw, I don't know. That's what you just said.
There's multiple methods of doing this, and
yeah,
and
we don't know.
I think
right?
the more popular one is like it's decided who will fire first. Usually the person with less
because that's what it sounds like.
you know, and they'll fire,
Yeah,
and then the other guy is like, well, it's my turn now.
and I'm gonna kill you.
Right.
But then again, those things, like you said, wildly inaccurate.
And he cheated so he could get a quicker shot off.
Yes.
And once he did that,
And if you try to avoid it,
you lose.
you are a coward.
Yes.
You just have to stand there.
And I'm sure a lot of times the duels would start, someone would like put their gun up in the air, they both would shoot the guns and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
honor is satisfied.
That
and it was
probably
done.
happened way more than anything else.
Yes. And this is obviously famous because after he does
It's
this,
the most famous duel. Like, what's bigger than this?
yeah, you're right. It
Can't-
doesn't get bigger.
Right.
I mean, it was in a Got Milk commercial directed by Michael Bay.
Really?
You don't know the commercial? It was like famous in the 90s. The guy is in the library and he's listening to the radio and it's like, who shot Alexander Hamilton? And he has peanut butter in his mouth.
I do remember this. Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Wow,
Our
that's
died
an
on Staten
obscure
Island.
reference.
Well, we'll get there. So, after the duel, obviously, everybody hates his fucking guts.
Yes.
He's persona non grata.
Yes.
Jefferson is like, I fucking hate you.
Your political kryptonite.
Yeah, you killed like a beloved figure.
Yes.
And Aaron Burr is like, well, fuck me. And he gets replaced.
going?
He gets replaced by George Clinton as the VP in the next Jefferson election.
The Parliament Funkadelic guy.
Yes, I believe so. And apparently, when he gave his farewell address to the Senate, he spoke like so eloquently about the American system of government. He brought like multiple people into the room to tears. And like very little of the speech like was recorded, but like there's still like very little pieces you could read.
I wonder if it was like misconstrued that they were laughing or something. Like a group was telling jokes, just crying, and then that was the recorded thing. So many people were crying.
This is like the one of the pieces that survived. This Senate is a sanctuary, a citadel of law, of order, and of liberty. And it is here in this exalted refuge, here if anywhere, will resistance be made to the storms of political frenzy and the silent arts of corruption. And if the Constitution be destined ever to perish by the sacrilegious hands of the demagogue or the usurper, which God avert, its expiring agonies will be witnessed on this floor.
That didn't age well.
And he left. His career is in ruins. And he may have been a president at some point if this duel didn't happen.
Quite possible.
And, you know,
And again, also, if that didn't happen, I believe Federalist nature would be more common, like more powerful.
Well,
no,
the federal
because
system won. That's what we have.
well, I'm saying if Hamilton was still doing his thing,
we may have had a national bank
Yeah, like
and like a
earlier
Federal
stuff,
Reserve
yeah.
style thing way sooner.
yeah, and it would have been way more powerful over time.
He was against that. He's the anti-federalist.
Who?
Burr.
No, I'm talking.
Oh, you mean
I'm
Hamilton?
saying
Oh, okay. If
Hamilton.
Hamilton
Yeah, I'm
died,
saying yeah. If he didn't die,
I see what you're saying.
yeah.
Yeah, I think Burr ultimately like saved the country by doing this. I'm a big Burr guy.
All right. Then he went to Texas, right?
So now what he does, he's like, what the fuck can I do?
Sorry, I keep ruining.
No, it's fine. He's like, I can't, I'm persona non grata everywhere here. The only thing left to do is go west.
Yes.
And
As you do in the early 19th century.
Oh, you know what? This does have a little bit to do with cold. He's an ice cold killer.
he's cold blooded.
There you go.
There you go.
He was one of the first rappers to have a cold name. He was ice cold. Burr.
So he goes to Texas.
He goes to Texas and he's like,
Mexican Texas.
yeah, Mexican Texas.
Tejas.
He's like, you know
a great
what?
place.
You know what would be good here? If there was like another government, like another America. And he comes up with an idea for it. Jefferson finds out about this.
President Jefferson.
President Thomas Jefferson, and is furious. And he tries Burr for treason like 3 or 4 times. Burr beats the rap because there is nothing that
are you
says
gonna do?
he could not do this.
Right. Except
This-
for maybe Santa Ana.
This is Jefferson just being pissed
Right.
that like he left and he's going to do his own thing. Eventually, he starts a bunch of rebellions. He racks up debt, and he does not successfully become like president of
Texas.
Texas,
Right.
which is what he wanted.
Right.
Now he's broken, penniless. Everybody hates him everywhere, and
Where do you go?
he goes to Europe.
Oh, does he?
He goes to Europe for a little bit and hides.
Where's he go? France?
I think he went to Spain.
Yeah.
And he comes back and he uses a fake name like Jim Edmonds or Jim Edwards.
I wasn't Mexican. It would have been Spanish Texas.
Yeah, it was Spanish Texas. But I knew what you meant, you know?
Right.
So he comes back and he meets a wealthy heiress. And he shacks
move.
up with her.
It's a good move.
And he's like, yeah, this is the good life. Unfortunately, the marriage does not last. And she divorces him. And
Is he living incognito? He's like not
That's what
Aaron
it sounds
Burr?
like.
he's not publicly. He's like keeping it like kind of, you know, under wraps.
Grew a beard.
Exactly. So he gets back. He marries the lady.
But they get divorced
They get divorced, and now he's broken, penniless,
again.
and he has one place left to go:
Where?
Where's that?
Staten Island.
Thank God.
Oh,
He goes to Port Richmond.
what?
Yup, and he lives in a boarding house, which
You know this?
No, I didn't know he went to Staten Island.
That's our home.
it later became the St. James Hotel.
Wow.
And you know he died there.
Yes.
You could see his death mask, and he was buried in Princeton, New Jersey.
Yes.
Staten Island, where freedom goes to die.
The man who shot Hamilton.
Yeah, right at home.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on Burr?
An important dude.
Can you respect like that level of having a grudge?
Yes. Absolutely.
Are you the type of person where you would like, if you're Burr, do you pull the trigger, or would you be like honor or satisfied?
I mean, he did try to shoot him.
Depends.
I'm
how
asking
fast.
you personally.
just
Do you
whizzed
think
by
you
his
would?
head.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I probably would.
What about you, Steve? I don't think you would.
In the moment, it depends how fast it was. If I'm like right about to pull the trigger and a bullet whizzes by my head, I'm probably just gonna react.
No, like you had the time. He had like 3 to 5 seconds. Like
Yeah.
he lined him
Took
up.
aim.
That's interesting.
He deliberately
Maybe
did
I
it.
would. I
I
don't know.
probably wouldn't. I probably wouldn't because think about it. He missed,
The dude insulted his wife, though. In the
Yeah.
papers.
but not only did he miss. Now I could say forever, you lost a duel to me. Do you want to lose again? And I hold that over you forever.
Now
That-
But you could
That's
kill
good
him and hold
revenge.
that over him forever too.
Yeah, but how did that work out for him?
yeah, you may have to duel him again.
I won once already. He can't aim.
Yeah, but next time his cheating gun may.
Next time I get first shot.
How do we know he cheated?
The gun has a. You could see the trigger. They've looked at the gun.
But is that like a known rule? He just modified the gun
That's fucked up.
to be quicker,
You
right?
can't modify the gun.
Yeah, he had like Burr's gun had like the regular 10 pounds of force needed
Right, but
to
who
pull
says
the
you
trigger.
need 10 pounds of force in a duel? A duel's a duel.
It was like
They
a
need-
jerry-rigged hair trigger
They-
thing.
It's a set of
Sure.
pistols. They're supposed to be identical pistols.
Oh, they're supposed to be identical.
Yes.
Okay, I see. Yeah, so he's a piece of shit.
It's not like everybody's bringing their own weapon.
right. I get it.
Have you ever like challenged someone to a duel or like held a grudge that long?
Dueled? No, I can't
Not-
say I've ever dueled.
I guess the modern equivalent would challenge
Fight?
someone to a fight, right?
I guess it's not to the death. Not really. I've lived a charmed life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you a duelist?
I've challenged people to one-on-one fights.
You'll 1v1 me.
You've had one-on-one fights too.
I have had
A
some.
few.
I'm a man who has held a grudge for a long
I mean,
time.
I've been in fights, but it wasn't like
Calling someone
I'm
out.
calling.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
need to meet here now. Like it's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
like
No, it's always like random.
right.
Yeah.
This was a
In the
crime
moment.
of passion.
It's not premeditated duel.
Ant was going, "That's my penguin." For some reason, I turned Ant into a Cockney guy.
In Antarctica.
Yeah,
From 1910.
but I've held a grudge before, and
Yeah,
had some
yeah.
fisticuffs.
Yeah,
A few times.
Yeah. Want to talk about?
it's your story.
Should we? Right.
What do you want to talk about?
When I showed up at the party.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you've done this so much that I didn't know what
I wasn't sure.
time
I
you
thought
were
he was
referencing.
I thought he was when he made the guy drink piss.
Right.
That's what I thought he was.
Oh no, that wasn't even a duel. Oh, that was kind of a duel. Yeah.
Yeah, you've dueled multiple times in your life.
Brian's a duelist.
Yeah,
He's like Harvey Keitel.
Or Aaron Burr.
I guess what Brian's getting at this time is we have this friend
Wow, he is like Aaron Burr.
who
You duel a lot.
He moved to Thailand.
You're shunned. Nobody likes you, and you live in Jersey.
He moved to Thailand, and before he left, he decided to brutally insult Brian, call him like a piece of shit who smells or something.
Yeah, a bunch of random insults.
just mean
And me
stuff.
and this guy never really liked each other, but it was tolerated at
Right,
best.
but he knew he was
Yeah.
moving away, and Brian couldn't do anything about it.
Yep.
So he took this opportunity to slander you
Yes.
publicly.
Bad move.
And I said, eventually you will be back on Staten Island. And when you return, I'm punching you in the face.
It is quite noble. It's a noble vengeance.
Now,
It's like the rage of Achilles.
I don't know how he figured it out.
Go ahead. What'd you do?
it's
Yeah.
so
years went by.
years.
Years.
I waited years
Yeah.
for my
Sat on
moment.
it.
And there was one day where all you guys were at a party,
Yes.
and it was July 3rd,
Yeah.
July 3rd.
because the next day was the 4th of
Fourth
July.
of July party.
Okay.
Yep.
And you guys were all there drunk. I was not invited because this person doesn't like me either.
Oh, I was sober.
You were sober.
I remember this vividly.
You were very drunk.
I remember this.
I remember
saw it
when you.
happen.
I remember when you saw me show up.
Yes.
It dawned on you why I was there because
I was happy to see you.
at first.
And then I was like, oh no. know
I think
why
we
you see it.
all had the same reaction because he walked in with a big smile.
And I was like, oh, Brian's here. Great.
Yeah. Hey, Brian. Oh, no.
And eventually, I got the guy alone in the party.
He wasn't alone.
He
Well,
was surrounded.
He was surrounded with people.
no, I had got him alone, and then you guys showed up.
Yeah.
And I basically was like, step outside, fight me like a man, let's square up and do this.
You wouldn't do it.
Like, he would not square up, which to me is the most bitch ass thing. Because if someone is challenging your manhood and saying, fight me one on one like a man,
And he was well aware that you had this vendetta.
yes.
Yes.
Like, the promise was made. And he would not just fight me. So I punched him in the face.
Yep.
And then he like kind of charged at me, and I got a couple of shots in knees, and you pulled me away.
That's not how I remember it.
Well, you were drunk.
I remember you punched him. He kind of ate it and was just like, okay.
No.
And you were like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah, you were very drunk. You don't remember this at all.
Okay.
So
I wasn't there to see it.
so I punched him, And then he kind of like charged at me like this, like both hands down.
That's not a good way to fight.
Not a
And
good way.
as he was doing that, I just kept like landing shots, but I couldn't really get close. And I hit a couple of body knees.
Right.
And then you grabbed me and
the
pulled
girl,
me
the girl
away.
said, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
Yeah. There's a girl there. What the fuck is wrong with you? Get the fuck out of here. And I was
Your
like,
only reply should have just been vengeance.
all I did was I said, I'm good. I was done.
Yes. Anna was satisfied.
There was no rage in what I did
No.
either.
It was
all
just cold and calculated.
It was business. This must be
Yes.
done.
Yes.
I made the promise.
Fitting to the episode. Cold as fuck.
And after that, Anna was satisfied.
Yeah, and you peacefully left.
I left the party.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm good.
Done.
Yeah.
And I was done.
We hung out after, like all of us.
Yeah.
Just laughed at it.
It was wild.
But I held that grudge. How long would you say it was?
At least 3 years.
Yeah.
Right?
At least. Yeah.
Minimum.
I would, if I hadn't done that, I'd still be waiting.
Sure.
And he was
You're
back to the island a few times, like before then, I believe, and you just never ran
Brian,
into him.
he came. He was at my house once. This guy.
Yeah.
We were hanging out, and Brian found out. I don't know how that he was there, and all of a sudden I walk out of my house, and Brian's hiding in my bushes. I'm like, Brian, what are you doing? It's like, I know he's in there, and when he comes out, I'm going to get him. And I said, you can't do this. You have to leave. And he did, thankfully. So he just waited some more.
Waited.
Until he
It had to be like a year between
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
It was way longer. It was like 2 or 3 years after that. I waited a long time to get my vengeance.
You're a sick man. Love it.
I go by Russell Crowe rules.
If he had gone out to like smoke a cigarette and you were in the bushes, you just would have attacked
I
him.
would have just grabbed him. It would have been like you know in like a Batman movie when like the
Swear to me.
yeah, I would have just pulled him up.
Do you remember when somebody stole a substantial amount of money from you? Do you remember this?
Oh, you want to tell the other story?
The other one.
You want to shoot all? All right, we started.
No, we
it.
don't have to shoot all. I just found this one to be extremely funny, just because of how you went about it. Because it was quick. It wasn't. I wouldn't even call it a real fight. But
Oh, the ninjas.
The
the
ninja.
ninja story.
What, do you want to do the ninja story?
Do you want to do the ninja story?
We started it.
We started it.
All right. So, the year was 2012.
Brian's a maniac.
I was working at an Outback Steakhouse. In defense of being a maniac, I think my 20s were very rough, but I definitely think I've matured and settled down in my 30s.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah, of course.
You know, is your wife? Does she know the ninja story?
She knows a ninja story. Ninja story I'm proud
Ninja
of.
story is fucking amazing.
There's few stories where I'm not proud of my actions, which maybe I'm not as mature as I thought I was like a second ago. But I won the Super Bowl like pool with the boxes, you know,
yeah.
like my numbers came up at the end when the Giants,
big winner
when
of
the
the-
Giants beat the
Of
Patriots
the Super Bowl pick.
for
boxes.
Good amount of money.
for my Outback Steakhouse where I was working at
I think
the
it was
time.
I think it was $500.
It's $500.
Yes.
I was very excited. And at this point, it's 2012. How old am I? I have to be
24.
I'm 23, 24, around there.
Yeah.
I'm younger. And I win. And I show up the next day. I'm like, hey, my numbers came up. Give me my money. The guy's like, I don't have it right now. I'm like, okay,
The
fine.
guy running the pool.
The guy running the pool. He doesn't have it.
He's a waiter at the.
He's a waiter there too, at the Outback. Time goes by. I still don't have it. It keeps coming. Eventually,
days we're talking about.
weeks.
Weeks, long
Eventually,
time.
we get to the point where it's now March. The Super Bowl was at the beginning of February.
Mm-hmm.
I go to the guy. I'm like, look, I've given you plenty of time. If I don't have my money by this date, I'm beating the shit out of you.
Now this guy, he was a drug addict, right?
Yeah.
He was a drug addict.
Yeah.
And it was suspected that he put all the money up his nose.
Right.
And I was like, okay.
You gotta. The only thing you could do.
How much did you buy in for, if you remember?
$20 to $50 in that range. I couldn't,
You won 500.
and I was going to tip him.
You're going to give him a cut.
Typically, when you win those pools, you give the
Guy who
The
ran
host.
it.
you give him a cut. You know, you give him like a tip. I would have given him like
nice.
$50.
Sure.
Which he didn't do anything other than collect the money, you know, but good for him. He made a little money on it.
Yeah.
So the day comes and it is now time for me to
Extract payment.
Yeah.
payment. And I'm in the bathroom at work, and he comes up to me. He's all scared. And
You told him today's the day. You better have it.
no, well, he knew. I think it was like by March 4th. It was
Right.
like, if I don't have my money by March
gave him an
5th,
exact date.
you're done. Because that was exactly a month
now
from
it's
the
March
Super Bowl.
4th.
March 4th.
And I'm in the bathroom at work, and it's the day he knows it's coming. And he comes up to me and he's like, I don't have it. I'm sorry. I could give you some. I'm like, I don't want some. I want it all.
Is this like a Weasley guy? Is he a tough guy?
He's
What is-
taller than me, slender.
That's not hard.
Well, yeah.
He's Weasley. He was Weasley.
He's Weasley, but
Slightly
he's
Weasley.
taller than me.
He's a junkie.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
You're bullying a junkie.
Yeah.
But he
stole money.
didn't look like a junkie.
Oh, yeah?
He looked like a typical Staten
Average.
Island junkie where they look like a normal person. You know, they're hooked on
No.
Percocet.
Yeah.
And he didn't talk
I'm
like
going to take
that.
a nap on this table.
Yeah, exactly. He spoke like a regular person.
Brian called me up that day to hang out, and he didn't tell me what was happening. He just said, "Come hang out with me."
I know I was there.
Yep. And I'm like, okay.
And so was the next guy I would beat up too.
And I get in the car, and I think you're in the car.
Well, good. Tell the plan
Yeah.
before you get to that.
So my plan was I got out before him at work.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to wait in the parking lot.
You did not want to lose your job.
I didn't want to lose my job. I was going to wait in the parking lot, dressed like a ninja, all in black. Black ski mask, black gloves, black pants, black hoodie. All black everything. You would not be able to tell my identity.
Other than his shape.
And eyes.
But you would have no proof.
It could be anybody under that ninja mask.
Yeah. And I was going to wait in my car for him to get out of work and then attack him.
What Brian is failing to mention is that he also told everyone who works at the Outback Steakhouse that
And
he was going
Fridays.
to do this.
Yeah.
Well, everybody knew.
Everyone knew what was happening. In fact, when we get in the car,
Brian-
you tell us this plan. You're dressed as the ninja already. We go to wait next door, which there was
In
a Friday.
Fridays.
And a Friday's next
I
door.
actually remember this.
Yeah.
He called us to meet him, and we pull up in the parking lot, and we call Brian, where are you? And he's like, I'm in that car in the back of the lot. And he's parked his car way in the back, like far from the Outback Steakhouse's front door. And he's just sitting silently in his car with the lights off. And he's dressed as a ninja. And we get in the car, and we're like, what the fuck is happening? And he goes, I just need you guys to back me up if anything goes wrong. So we're like, okay.
We just say yes.
Yeah. Now, we're like, okay, well, when is he going to come out? When are you going to fight him? 4 hours. I'm like, we're not sitting here for 4 hours, Brian. Are you out of your fucking mind? So now me and Beaver go and sit in Fridays and start drinking. So now we're sitting by the window, watching the door, watching Brian's car.
We gotta
one
explain
by
the window.
one, as it gets later and later, the employees of Outback Steakhouse come tumbling into the Fridays. They sit next to us and start drinking as well, and now watching the window, waiting for Brian to
Let's
make
explain this window. It's not a regular small window.
Right.
It's the entire wall.
So now
It's a massive window
massive
with
window.
4 tables waiting for this to happen.
Yeah, there's a TGI Fridays and Outback next to each other, and now the entire Fridays, all of the patrons in there are like
Outback employees.
Outback employees.
Outback.
or
Friday,
ex-Outback
everyone.
employees that are now at Fridays that know this guy.
Yes. Mhm.
Everybody wants to watch me beat this guy up.
Yep, they all
There's
hate
a
this
crowd.
guy.
There's a massive crowd.
He
And
stole
now
everyone's money.
Everyone's glued to the window, and then all of a sudden, the guy comes out. So go ahead.
All right, so the guy comes out, and I go up to him, and I use his name. I'm just going to call him Pete for this, but that's not his name. And I'm like, hey, Pete, come here, fight me. And he's like, no, I'm not fighting you. And he tries to run away.
He turns and
He
runs.
turns and like does like a jog walk.
Tries to get back into
And he
Outback.
tries to get back, and the to-go door is locked. And he goes to the front door,
He made it to the front door, yeah.
and he gets his hands
Grab-
on the metal bars.
Yes.
And I grab him from behind, and I pull him, and he's up in the air
Right.
like Superman, holding onto the bars. Eventually, I yank him away.
At this point, the manager of Outback.
Not yet. Not yet.
No, at this point, I run out.
So I pull him back, and I get him in like a rear naked choke.
You're choking them.
And I'm choking him, and I'm all dressed in black.
And I run up to you
Well,
because
no,
you
bef-
said no. I heard this happening. That's why I remember this vividly, because you said back me up. So I ran out in case somebody else was there. Nobody else was there besides your manager, who was saying something very specific. If you don't remember,
And was also having sex with the guy.
having sex. With the
Yeah,
kid.
which we'll talk about in a second.
Yeah. Do you remember what she was saying?
Brian, get off him, Brian. And she's pulling on my mask.
Like he's a superhero.
Yeah.
He's choking this guy out and go, he's fucking choking me.
And I'm choking him as I'm doing it. And she pulls the mask off. And now I'm unmasked.
You're revealed.
It's like Spider-Man's identity has been seen.
On the subway, on that train.
I am ninja no more. so I let go and I point at him. I go, I want my fucking money, Pete. And
You run away into the night.
and I run away into the night, grab my ski mask, and I disappear all in black.
Now there's a postscript.
Now, you guys went back into.
Yeah,
We
had to
kept
finish our
drinking with
drinks.
everyone, yeah.
Now, what was the reaction? Everyone was happy.
Everyone was so
Cracking
happy.
up. We were
They
laughing.
They're
Yeah.
like, this is the greatest day of our lives.
I was a hero.
Yeah.
You were a hero to them. Yeah.
Yeah.
They all hated this guy.
Yeah. So I'm looking at my schedule for work, and I'm supposed to come in. This was like a Friday or Saturday. I'm supposed to come in that Monday, and I see all my days are gone. I'm off the schedule. I'm like,
Can't imagine
What could have
why.
happened?
I'm like, well, why? And I
Nobody saw me.
I call up.
Did you guys hear about a ninja attack?
I call up, and I'm like, why am I off the schedule? I don't understand this. And they're like, well, you need to come in and talk to the general manager about that. It was the assistant manager that had pulled my mask off and all this. And I'm like, okay. So the employees are like, you got fired. But here's what we're going to do. We know that he's sleeping with the assistant manager, and that's the real reason you got in trouble. So we're going to follow them tonight with you, and we're going to try to get evidence.
Who is telling you this?
The other employees, because no
Oh.
one wanted me fired.
Because you're a man of the
Yeah,
people.
I'm a man of the people. I'm the hero.
Vox
Right.
Populi.
So I'm like, okay, let's do it. So we follow them around all night, waiting for them.
Now you're being spies.
Now you're stalking.
And we at one point we call the cops. We're like, yeah, I think they have pills in their car, and we gave them the license plate. And we were trying to like get them busted and like really fuck their shit up.
Right.
So,
Now he's out to ruin lives.
Yeah.
well, I need my job back. So
For a matter of $500.
so
Matter of honor at this point.
eventually I show back up to work. I have my meeting with the general manager, and I bring a blank DVD with me,
Just a disc.
just a disc, and I pull off the greatest move of my life.
You're so proud of
my
us.
So
God.
so I come in,
What a ruse.
and I'm like, hello, why am I off the schedule? And she's like, well, you know what you did. I
You're
go,
the ninja.
I'm like, what did I do? She goes, come on, you know. I'm like, I really don't know. And they play the video.
They have security camera footage.
Yeah.
It's me just choking this guy. And I'm like, that wasn't me. And they're like, if that's not you, then we need to get the cops involved. And I'm like, all right, you got me. It's me. Yeah. Yo. I
You
should
guys are good.
I should have played it a little differently, but I changed things around. And I go, okay, you got me. I'm fired. I can accept that. However, if my following demands are not met, I'm going to bring everybody in this establishment down. I go, number one, it will be known to the police and others that there was illegal gambling happening in this establishment, and I will bring that up to them. I will tell corporate.
Nice.
They're more scared of corporate.
Oh, yeah.
I pull out a disc, and I go, on this disc, I have proof that the two of them are living together, and you have an assistant manager sleeping with an employee, which is illegal in like a lot of corporate restaurants.
Oh, they hate that.
They
Yeah,
hate
yeah.
that. And as GM, and I was like, they're living together, and I have proof on this disc.
And it's just a ball-faced lie.
Complete lie.
Nothing
It's
on the
blank.
disc, right?
And I put it down. I say, you could keep that. I have copies.
Great move.
They pop it and
That's
nothing's
a great
there.
fucking move.
I'm like, and here are the demands I want. I want my $500
That
in
you
cash.
rightfully won.
Yeah.
Yep. I want my $500. I want a good recommendation when I go for other jobs. And I want to be able to collect unemployment. So I want this to go down as a layoff and not like
A firing.
a firing.
Yeah.
And the manager's like shaking because she knows, like, I was like, I will burn the establishment to the ground. You will lose your job.
Restaurant general managers live in perpetual fear.
Yeah.
Yes.
They are terrified of corporate and they think they're going to lose their jobs.
Well,
because most of
Their
them,
lives are flimsy.
Well, they are generally, people that have failed at other things and now they're general managers at a casual dining restaurant. Not
Yes.
to take anything away from casual dining restaurant managers.
It's
but
a job.
That's what they do.
It's a job and it's a rough job and you're not secure.
Right. These are people that are usually in their late 30s. To
They
early
get,
40s, and it's like,
She was
this
in her
is what they
40s to
do.
50s,
Yeah.
you know?
They
It's
get
like,
moved
this is their
around a
life.
lot. Yeah. They're moved around a lot.
And they're so easily fired and replaced.
Yeah.
Or transferred,
Yep.
like, so she's terrified. And I'm like, this is what I want. And if I do not get this, I'm bringing everything down. I want my money by this time next Monday, and I want my filing to go through. I show up next Monday. I get my last check, $500 cash. I go, thank you very much.
Have a nice life.
Have a nice life.
Nice.
And I collect unemployment.
Nice.
And then
Did you get the recommendation?
I got hired at other places after
All right.
that. And eventually, I used that money and other things like that led to me making my first movie.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's great. Fucking
So-
ninja.
Fucking ninja story.
I was not expecting to drop the ninja story today. That's a classic
you
Brian
mentioned dueling.
tale.
You mentioned dueling.
I'm a man who
It's a man of
holds
honor.
a grudge.
Man of honor.
Trust me, if I see the breast guy again, he's on the fucking list. The guy who said something to my wife.
At the wedding.
Oh, I got
No, not Colonel Sanders. I love him. That's my favorite breast guy.
Who was that? What was it? Meatloaf in Fight Club?
Bob is bitch
Bob,
tits.
man.
So it's that time of the episode where we make our picks for the next movies we're going to watch. I will go first.
Okay.
The next movie we are going to watch is Midnight Express, but we are going to have a special guest. We are going to have none other than Brian Johnson from Tell 'em Steve Dave, Comic Book Men.
Nice.
Great guy,
That'll be
big
next week.
fan. That should be next week.
All right.
Unless there's a scheduling conflict of some sort, but we are all
On
set
video.
to have him. On video. Brian Johnson next week.
Nice.
Stay tuned.
All right. What is your pick, Steven?
I want to do Troy.
Now, when you say do Troy, do you mean the movie or you want to like fuck a guy
The
named
man
Troy?
Troy.
Okay.
No, the movie Troy.
Brad Pitt, 2004.
Oh yeah. I think that's a nice little throwback.
Sure.
Yeah. What about you?
Well, I'm going to go further back. It's high time we have Chuck Heston return to the show.
Thank God.
Yes. It's been too long.
We need more Heston.
It's been too fucking long. So we have
one?
The Sid, El Cid.
El Cid.
Yes.
El Cid.
Yes, a
All right.
classic film.
I've never seen it, so I'm excited.
I watched it once with you years ago,
Yeah.
and I fucking loved
That's
it.
the last time I've seen it.
Oh, so this is gonna be nice. This is gonna be a nice refresher.
I've wanted to rewatch it too.
Me too.
So I'm
looking forward to it.
very excited for this slate.
Yeah, it's good.
All right, so you guys want to say goodbye
Bye.
Thank you for listening
and watching.
and watching.
And watching.
Oh, can add it now.
Want to give a big thank you all for listening or watching to us. Follow us on all social media, Reviewing History Pod, RView History Pod on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff. Want to give a big thank you to Tell 'em Steve, Dave, Walt. Come on down, buy some merch, visit the store. It's a cool place. Follow me personally on all social media at Brian Rupert. That's with 2 P's. I have my letterbox where I rank or review every single movie I watch for the show and every movie I watch in my personal life. Come on down, and thank you all for joining us. We'll see you next time. Bye.
He-Man.